what's crazy? It really feels like 2022 was yesterday. Okay, I'm sorry. That joke is so cheesy. I make this joke every single year to my friends and family, so it's only fair that you guys had to hear it as well. Anyway, you're probably thinking, Ali, you read a lot of books, so your grammar and writing is probably really good. Wrong. Wrong. You are about to hear the most run-on sentences you have ever heard in your entire life in this video, because I'm going to try and review all 93 books I read in 2022 in one sentence each. Also, I dressed up for you guys in honor of New Year's. Happy New Year's, happy 2023. It really be sounding like a futuristic year, but we're now in it. Well, I'm filming this on December 28th, but you are now in it. You're in 2023. Also, if you follow me on Goodreads and you've seen my star ratings for these books on Goodreads, they might be a little bit different in this video. I have this habit of whenever I finish a book, I feel like I always rate it pretty high. Not always, some books I hate, but most of the time I rate books pretty high. And then like a month later, I'm like, did that book deserve 5 stars? Did that book deserve 4 stars? Like, it's kind of a forgettable book in hindsight. No offense to those books. So some of these star ratings might be a little bit different from my original Goodreads star rating. But yeah, I'm curious, do you guys ever change your star ratings? And do you rate books right after you finish them? Or do you give yourself like some time before you give your rating? Anyway, we've got a lot of books to get through, so let's get right into it. I'm gonna be going in order from when I read these books at the beginning of the year all the way up until now. First up is The Atlas 6. This was my first 5-star read of the year, and this book is perfect if you love magical realism, multiple POVs, and extremely intelligent characters. The Addicted/Calloway Sisters series, I freaking love this series. I love all of the characters and their romances, especially because there's so many tropes. There's truly something for everyone, but what really makes this series the best is the friendships in it. The Goal, which is the 4th book in the Off-Campus series, I love the Off-Campus series. The Goal is not my favorite book in the series, but I love how sweet Tucker, the male love interest, is, and how much of a badass Sabrina, the female love interest, is. Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. This is a sports romance plus forbidden love, and Kennedy Ryan tells such a beautiful but heartbreaking story that covers some really heavy topics, and it did break my heart. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. This is the first self-help book I've ever read, and it's such a great read about really being intentional about slowing down and incorporating rest and relaxation into your life. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I mean, everyone loves this series, including me. So many great twists and turns, plus a great romance subplot, and Pip is the teen detective I did not know I needed in my life. Ugly Love. This book is messy and complicated and beautiful and sad, and it will make you understand why it is called Ugly Love. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. A small town romance plus grumpy sunshine is always a great combo. It's always a hit. The Song of Achilles. My Goodreads review for this book was simply my heart, in all caps, because it broke my heart. Daisy Jones and the Six. This book is about a 70s rock band, and it deals with addiction and fame and relationships, and I would highly, highly recommend listening to the audiobook of this book. 1,000 Point Kisses. I didn't super bond with the characters for some reason, but I know people love this book, and it is a very heartbreaking but beautiful book. Malibu Rising. It was so fun to get a sneak peek into the lives of the wealthy and famous and all of their secrets unraveling at this extravagant party. Normal People by Sally Rooney. It took me a little bit to get into this coming of age slice of life book, but once I did get into it, I loved all of the topics that Sally Rooney covers, like fitting in, mental health, class, love, etc. 14 Ways to Die. The characters felt a little bit underdeveloped for me, but overall I really loved the concept of young adult murder mystery meets reality TV. Verity by Colleen Hoover. Y'all, Colleen Hoover is wild for writing this extremely twisted and shocking thriller romance. The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw. The world building of this eerie little town was so good. Plus, I loved the romance subplot and the surprising ending. The Summer I Turned Pretty series. Overall, a 4-star series, but I hated the last book, which I gave 2 stars. This series made me so nostalgic for my middle school dreams of spending summers at the beach with cute boys fighting over me. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I would give anything to read this book for the first time again. The rom-com references, the romance, and the characters were chef's kiss. Love in Other Words. My favorite aspects of this book is that it has characters who love books, it takes place over a series of summers, and that it has just the right amount of heartbreak. The Love Hypothesis. We've got fake dating, we've got grumpy sunshine, we've got scientists, and an academic setting. What's not to love? The Inheritance Game's literally a 6-star read. It's got an insane plot with insane secrets, cute brothers, secret passageways, and dark academia vibes. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Emily Henry is the queen of banter, and I'm obsessed with the fact that this book is grumpy. Since You've Been Gone. This book is a super fun, light summer read that involves completing a summer bucket list. Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This book is my favorite friends to lovers book, and I loved how much depth Fox, the male love interest character, had. Love and Gelato. This book is another light, fun summer read that takes place in Italy. You can skip the movie version. Tweet Cute. If you like text in books, like letters, text messages, emails, things like that, then you will love this book because it has a full-on Twitter war and characters who fall for each other over an anonymous chat app. The Fine Print. This book is spicy. It's a workplace romance. It's grumpy sunshine, and the best part is it all takes place in a theme park. Layla by Colleen Hoover. If you liked Verity by Colleen Hoover, then you will love this twisty thriller romance. The Silent Patient. I was a little mixed on the plot twist in this book, but I loved how the author writes such morally gray characters. I think that's so interesting for a thriller. None Shall Sleep. Getting into the psychology of juvenile serial killers was so interesting and so eerie. Every Summer After. This book is basically Love in Other Words. I love both of them, and if you like one, you will also like the other. Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. This is one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books, and I'm so surprised I haven't heard people talk about it more. It's a great summer romance. The Night Circus. Although this book was really creative and beautifully written, I did DNF it because I got bored. The Summer of Broken Rules. This book is such a fun summer read because it has a big cast of fun characters and it takes place during Game of Assassin, but it also had a lot of depth to it because the main character is dealing with the loss of her sister. Family of Liars. This is the first prequel I've ever read, and I will say I liked it a lot more than its sequel, We Were Liars. Along for the Ride. You can probably guess we're in my summer reading era because a lot of these are summer books, but I loved the summery setting and romance plot of this book. I just thought it moved a little slow. If it was like 100 pages shorter, it would be like a 4.5 star read for me. The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hildebrand. This is a mystery with lots of juicy secrets. Plus, it was my first Ellen Hildebrand book, and it will not be my last. Sunkissed, a cute, light YA romance that's really unique because it takes place at a summer camp and involves a band. If the Shoe Fits. I honestly wasn't super passionate about the romance in this book, but I loved that it takes place on a reality TV show. It was so fun to see the behind the scenes of this reality TV show being filmed and the romance that unfurls on its set. Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. If I could give this book 6 stars, I would. I don't think I've ever cried harder in a book than I did in this book. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I will say I had such high expectations going into this book because of all the hype, and I don't know that it met the hype for me, but I did really enjoy it, and I think it tells such an important and heartbreaking story. Reminders of Him. Colleen Hoover does it again. I love books with kids in it. It's kind of become a new thing I realized I love. Oh my god, I'm not even saying a 1 sentence anymore. I just said like 2. Let me try again. I loved the main character's love for Diem, the kid in this book. No, start over. I think it's really cute when guys in the books love kids. No, that sounds weird. I really love this book. It made me cry. What I was trying to say was I think it's really sweet and attractive when the male love interest is good with kids, and there's like a really adorable kid in this book that the male love interest loves and is great with. I don't know why that was so hard for me to express, but that's what I was trying to say. Okay, next one. The Selection. I loved not just the romance of this whole series, but the world building, the politics, the country, basically the whole dystopian world. Although this book is a bit Wattpad-y, it's very cute and spicy MM romance. Dial A for Aunties. I have truly never read another book like this before. It has such a great mix of genres between the murder, romance, and comedy. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I feel like I learned a lot from this book on how to better my social skills, be a better leader, and influence people. Shadow and Bone. It took me a little bit to get into this book, but once I did, I loved it, and I plan on reading the sequel ASAP in 2023. Pride and Prejudice. I got bored, and I didn't really like the old-timey language. Sorry. Maybe Not. This is the novella sequel to Maybe Someday, which I hated. This was a super fast and easy read. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. The Spanish Love Deception. I am head over heels in love with Aaron Blackford and this book. Plus, it has my 2 favorite romance tropes, fake dating and enemies to lovers. Ugh, swoon. I swoon for this book. Sorry, I know that was more than 1 sentence again, but I had to. Bared to You. Wow, truly the spiciest romance book I've ever read, and I will be reading the rest of the series. A Touch of Darkness. The romance. Spicy and passionate, but mostly I loved that it involves Greek mythology, but takes place in modern day. The X-Ax. Such a perfect fall read because it involves witches, romance, and a hex. You Deserve Each Other. I loved that this book is told after characters are already in a relationship but are having problems and have to re-fall back in love and re-find their way back to each other. The Thursday Murder Club. I thought the plot of this book sounded so good, but I did DNF this one because I got really bored. Things we never got over, 6-star read. 6-star read. One of my favorite romances of the year because it involves a small town, grumpy sunshine, an adorable little girl, and a wonderful cast of characters. It starts with us. I am so glad that Colleen Hoover wrote this book because I feel like it answered all of the questions I had after it ends with us, and I'm really glad we got to hear more of Atlas and Lily's story. Two Can Keep a Secret. Karen A. McManus has yet to disappoint me with one of her YA murder mystery books. Plus, the last sentence of this book was the craziest sentence I've ever read in a book ever. The House Across the Lake. I have heard that a lot of people don't like the plot twist in the book. I personally loved it and thought it was crazy. My first Riley Sager book, and I would love to read more by him. If We Were Villains. I felt so conflicted after reading this book because on the one hand, it's so good, mega dark academia vibes, but it's also really sad, and I just wanted some happiness. Love on the Brain. Although similar to The Love Hypothesis, I still loved the quirky characters, the science academic setting, and the romance. Rock, Paper, Scissors. I loved that almost every single chapter ended in a cliffhanger. It made me fly through this thriller. Ender's Game, my first ever sci-fi book. I thought the world was so interesting, and I loved how much Ender was a baby genius, but I wasn't super into like the war battle aspect. Confessed by Colleen Hoover. A classic Colleen Hoover passionate romance with a mix of heartbreak, and I loved the confession and painting aspect in this book. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, my first Mariana Zapata book, and I freaking loved The Slow Burn. A big goal of mine in 2023 is to read more books by her. The Dead Romantics, this book would be perfect for a fall Halloween read. I have truly never read a book like this, with puns, cute one-liners, and a ghostly plot. The Alchemist, definitely a book that's out of my comfort zone, and I loved the themes of following your dreams and discovering your personal legend. When Breath Becomes Air, such a good and heartbreaking memoir about a doctor who gets cancer and now becomes the patient. Heartstopper, I loved that the characters actually sound like high schoolers. The graphics were so cute, and that the author tackles some tough topics while still keeping the tone light and cute. Love Light Farms, my favorite Christmas read that involves a small town, fake dating, friends to lovers, and a Christmas tree farm. The Fear, my entire Goodreads rating for this book was that ending, because that ending was wild. The Mistletoe Motive, another great Christmas read where the characters love books and work in a bookstore. Faking Under the Mistletoe, I loved that this book was a Christmas read that still tackled a heavy topic. It wasn't the typical light, cheesy Christmas book that I expected. In Holidays, this book takes place in a snowy cabin and involves time loop, which I thought would be boring, but was really interesting. The A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Drop the mic. I'm not done with this series, but it's become my favorite series so far since I've read Harry Potter in middle school. And that's saying something. And that is all the books that I read in 2022. I am so excited to start reading more books in 2023. I think I'm gonna set my Goodreads goal at 100 books for 2023. So it's gonna be a lot, but I think I can do it. I'm very curious, what is y'all's reading goals for 2023? What books are on your TBR for 2023? I'm starting to make my own TBR. I actually own so many books I haven't read, so I do need to read those before I ever go book shopping again in my life. Anyway, Happy New Year again, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!